Hi, this is Pamela Wirth from Hello Health and the Encouraging Wellness Podcast. And today I have Dr. Cori Stern, who is an amazing doctor in her own right, has been helping people restore and optimize their health naturally since 2001. Her passion for alternative medicine grew out of a sick childhood characterized by a very poor diet, incessant chronic infections, and never-ending cycles of antibiotics. At the young age of 15, she decided to take health into her own hands and began self-studying topics like the gut-brain connection, toxins, and how diet impacts a person's overall well-being. Later in life, upon realizing her childhood dreams of helping those who suffer, she wanted to help them heal naturally, and she decided to become a chiropractor at 32 and graduated at 37. And she now assists people all over the world with overcoming health challenges and advocating for their health care. Dr. Cori Stern oversees a busy private practice where she also educates other chiropractors on how to achieve optimal results with their clients. She's the creator of Dr. Cori Stern, Take Control of Your Health channel, known for its bite-sized information on a wide range of modern health topics. And so today we're going to touch on natural stress management, optimizing the immune system, natural anti-aging, natural digestive health, and the first step to any heavy metal and chemical detox, which is really, really important for people that have chronic illnesses in terms of helping get their immune system back on track. So thank you, Dr. Cori, so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I am honored to be here amongst all your wonderful guests. I've been following your show.
So what inspired you to become a natural health doctor, and what are some of the common health concerns that people come to you asking for help with?
I like to start my inspirational story when I was a fetus. So I actually think that I was sick before I was even conceived. My parents ate what I call a garbage diet, and so did their parents. So I come from a couple of generations of what I call garbage food eaters. And I was born with some chronic health issues. I always had ear infections, throat infections, bladder infections. I was always on antibiotics. And I was continuously being fed garbage food. I didn't actually eat what I call real food, which we'll talk about during the show. Additionally, my parents both were heavy smokers, both cigarettes as well as marijuana. So I was inhaling a lot of secondhand smoke. I thought it was normal to be sick all the time. I didn't know anything different. By the time I was 15, I had a chronic throat infection, strep throat. I was diagnosed with strep throat, and I was being put on one antibiotic after another, and I wasn't getting better. And it was the summertime. So here I am, a teenager, and it's the summer, and I can't even hang out with my friends because I was feeling so crappy. And I just came to the conclusion that medical doctors don't seem to know how to get people better. And I decided I was going to get myself well. So I started doing some research, and this is back in the olden days before there was internet. So I just turned 60, so this was mid-70s, and I did a lot of reading. And one of the things that I stumbled on was a magazine that's actually still in print today called Prevention. And it is a mainstream alternative health magazine. And reading that, I discovered that there's a connection between what you eat and the state of your health. I never knew that. Nope, never told me that. Clearly, my parents didn't know it or didn't care. My teachers did not teach me that in school. So I realized why I was sick all the time, and I decided to change my own diet at 15. I was working as a babysitter. I lived in Manhattan, and I lived in a high-rise building with lots of families with children, and I was the building babysitter. So I was raking it in. It was $1 an hour, but that was big money back then. And I saved up all my money and started buying my own food, and I cleaned up my diet. I eliminated sugar and white flour and chemicals. And then this was all at my local health food store. Back in those days, there was one health food store in Manhattan, if you can believe that. And they also had a book rack. Remember those revolving book racks with paperbacks on them? And I found a book there called Back to Eden, which was written in the 1920s. It's like I called it the Herbal Bible. It has every single herb on planet Earth and its therapeutic application. And I just devoured that book. I read everything. I memorized it. I started buying herbs and making myself concoctions in my bedroom. And between cleaning up my diet and taking some herbs, I healed myself. And that seed was planted in me that maybe one day I would be able to help restore the health of other people using all natural means, things that God gave us to keep us healthy. And that's really how the journey started. And it took me a while to get there because, as you mentioned, I didn't actually decide to be a chiropractor until I was 32. I wasn't really ready at 15 to do something serious, but I had in the meantime, I gave birth to a child with a rare genetic disorder who needed many surgeries. As soon as he was stable, off I went. And I have an extremely busy practice in New York City. And my dream has come true. I'm helping thousands of people to restore their health naturally without the need for toxic pharmaceuticals.
Which is amazing. So tell us, what are some of the common things people are coming to you with?
So there's everything under the sun, but some of the more common things are right now, I would say, thyroid issues. So many people have dysfunctional thyroids, whether that means that the thyroid is underactive or overactive, or they have an autoimmune condition affecting their thyroid. This is something we're seeing very commonly. I have a lot of women who are trying to get pregnant and struggling with fertility. Young women. I have a lot of people who have elevated blood sugar. So they're either on the verge of becoming diabetic or they already are. And then you have the common everyday things, the complaints that many people have. No energy, poor sleep, anxiety, and or depression. And then, unfortunately, I'm seeing an exponential number of new cancer cases. So, and don't let me leave out digestive problems. So that's probably actually the most common thing. Almost every single patient has some kind of digestive complaint, whether that be constipation or loose stool or bloating after eating, or reflux, acid indigestion. So those are the everyday things that we're having to help people with.
No, yeah, I certainly have come across a lot of that too. So what are some of the, I don't want to say higher impact, but what are some of the easier things that people can do that you'd like to start with when you're first talking with someone?
Yeah, that's a great question, because the one thing that you don't want to do is overwhelm people and give them too many things to do at once or too many changes to make, because most people simply cannot confront that. So I work in what I call small gradient changes. If you just change this a little bit and this a little bit, you're going to get a huge result. And then we change something else, and then we change that a little more. So I always start with, number one, reducing the amount of processed foods that people are eating, because processed foods are toxic. They're often loaded with sugar, and sugar is really bad for you. It's inflammatory, and it actually interferes with your body's ability to absorb nutrients. And nutritional deficiencies lead to ill health and symptoms. And in addition to sugar, also processed grains. So anything made out of flour. So we start to reduce that. At the same time, we're increasing some of the good stuff. So what we teach patients is the difference between good and bad food. Good food are things that grow on the ground, grow on a tree, or have a mother. and are minimally processed. Minimal processing means cooking or sprouting or fermenting. Anything else is what we call a processed product, and that's bad food. So your body is made out of cells, and your cells are always dying, and you're growing new ones. That's why you're not dead. And the material that your body uses to grow the new cells is food. So if you're eating good food, you'll grow good cells and your body will function properly and you'll feel well. If you're eating bad food, you'll grow bad cells and one or more things will go wrong and you won't feel well and eventually you will be sick. So that's our starting point. And the other part of it is while we're eliminating some of the bad stuff people are eating, we're also eliminating their toxic load, their exposure or use of toxic products. So we just start to educate people about what's actually in things like body care products, things that you actually put on your skin, laundry detergent, household cleaning products, and so on. Again, we don't tell you go home and throw out everything and buy all new stuff. No, when you're done with that toxic cleaning product, replace it with this one. And actually have written up it's a little article called Everyday Items You Never Knew Were Toxic. And I put it on my website. It's there available for anybody who wants it. And some of the things on there are rather shocking. Like most people don't know that the toilet paper they're using is toxic and you're putting it on very delicate tissue that easily absorbs toxins. So the amount of exposure that we have on a daily basis to toxins prevents people from being healthy. So those are the starting points, just slowly reducing your toxic load and slowly increasing the amount of good nutrient dense foods that you're eating.
Well, and then to touch on, you touched on the cells. The cells are largely made of water. So do you have any favorite types of water that you drink or don't drink, or types of RO systems that you do or don't put in, or anything like that?
Yes. So I actually have on my show, I have a rather long video with a water expert. And this guy's a genius. And he makes his own filter system. And after I interviewed him, I actually, as soon as we were done, I'm like, I want to buy your filter, because I understood then what's important about water. So water, it should be such a simple thing, right? It's the basis of life. We all need it. Every living thing on planet Earth needs water. But we've turned it into something unnatural. So the first problem is that most water systems, especially municipal water systems, are filled with chemicals. They're full of chlorine and fluoride and other toxins like bromine. And the other problem with it is that the water sits in a reservoir and it's still. And, in nature, we don't drink still water. We don't drink water sitting in a pool or a puddle. We drink moving water, like from a stream. And there's a reason for that. And when water is still, the molecular structure of it changes. The structure actually becomes chaotic. And then the water is not as hydrating anymore. So a lot of people, I have a lot of patients that tell me I'm thirsty all the time. My lips are dry, my mouth is dry, my skin is dry, and I drink water and I drink and drink and drink and I still feel thirsty. And not all water is equally hydrating. The other issue is that some filters take the minerals out of the water, and the minerals are what keep the water alkaline, or at least neutral pH, which is what your body is, right? The water that's in your body is, neutral to slightly alkaline, and that's what the water is supposed to be. That's what water is in nature. When you take the minerals out, it becomes acidic. So it's really important to be drinking water that's properly structured and that has all the minerals in it and has all the toxins taken out of it. So that's what this guy's filter does. He has a website, which I'll mention. It's called refreshingcleanwater.com. And you can, watch his videos on there and learn about it. I do not get any commissions from him. I just really love the water that comes out of my filter. If you're going to drink bottled water, he recommends the best brands in the US to be Mountain Valley spring water, Fiji, and Evian. Those are the cleanest ones. The Mountain Valley Spring comes in glass bottles, which is preferable. And the other part of that, if I can elaborate, is that many people are salt deficient. So they've been told that salt is bad for various reasons. It elevates blood pressure. People are programmed to avoid salt and to drink a lot of water. So it's not true that salt is bad. Bad salt is bad. Processed salt is bad. And salt made in a laboratory, commercial salt, is bad. But salt from the earth, from the sea, is actually an essential nutrient. Your body can't function without it. Every cell in your body has sodium channels. Your nervous system, your electrical impulses need salt to work properly. So one of the things that we see is that people are salt deficient and then they're drowning themselves with a lot of water, further reducing their sodium levels. And it leads to some crazy problems. It can cause muscle spasms or muscle cramps and numbness and tingling and all kinds of things like that. So I actually have many of my patients putting a 1/4 teaspoon of good quality salt, pink Himalayan or good quality sea salt, in 8 ounces of water and sipping on that throughout the day. So that's what electrolytes are when you're sweating a lot or exercising heavily, and you need them, but many people need them on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really important as well. What are some of the primary obstacles that you find that people really come into when they're trying to help themselves naturally? Um,
Number one, processed foods have chemicals in them that are addictive. Sugar is actually more addictive than cocaine. So can't just tell somebody stop eating sugar, because they can't, because they're addicted to it. And if they try, first of all, they'll feel awful. They'll go through withdrawal. And secondly, they will have severe cravings and they won't be able to resist. And then they'll end up failing and they'll feel like a failure and then they'll give up. So that's one of the reasons why we have to do this very gradually. And I have patients that say to me, Dr. Cori, just tell me everything you want me to stop eating and tell me everything that you want me to eat and I'll do whatever you say. And I actually say, no, we can't do it that way. That would be, in an ideal world, that would be wonderful, but I don't advise you to do that. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to slowly reduce. So I actually literally have to remove the obstacle of people wanting a quick fix. People are also very programmed, and I could use the word brainwashed, by advertising, by even, TikTok videos, that, they want to take a pill and get better, or fix a symptom with a pill. So, and they're also programmed by their medical doctors, just by the whole conventional medical system. So even if they're seeking out alternative health modalities like mine, they're still thinking in terms of symptom management. So I have high blood sugar. What do you have for that? I need to lose weight. What pill do you have for that? And this is something that I literally have to deprogram people And I always start off before I even accept a patient as a patient by saying, this is not a quick fix. We don't do symptom management. We don't do symptom suppression. That's what pharmaceutical drugs do. That's not what we do. What we're going to do is grow you enough healthy new cells for you to start functioning better. We're essentially going to grow you a new body or new body parts. And then I say, and how long might that take? And then we'll talk about how long it might take. So those are the primary obstacles are addiction to substances, chemicals and foods, sometimes also alcohol or other things. And then this desire to, I snap my fingers and you're all better, and not really want to commit to a process that's going to take some time.
Yeah, I mean, in our family's case, it was communicated very early that it's very important that we go ahead and remove sugar and gluten because we've got to start fixing the gut. The gut drives so much of what's going on in your brain and in your sleep, and your hormones and your expression on your skin and your energy. And they said, look, it's going to take about a year, maybe even a little bit more to really clean out your body. And while we're doing this, we're going to be detoxing and getting rid of bad bacteria and viruses that are clogged up in your system. And you're going to actually feel bad for about 30 to 60 days. And so when I'm talking with people, it's, a lot of them want to stop because the detox process is really uncomfortable. And I don't know if you have any favorite or faster ways to detox, but, in the case of the doctor that I had worked with, it was using a lot of plants in that detox process. But you just feel yucky for about 30 or 60 days because those bad cells are unhappy and they're going to try and make your life miserable, try and tell your brain to put the bad stuff back in again, so to speak. But
that's true. And I do try to avoid having people feel so bad that they can't continue on. So the first thing that I always do when we're going to consider detox is to prepare the body for the detox before we even start it. So you have a few detox organs, and we want to make sure that they're working properly so that the detox actually occurs, right? So for example, here's something that most people don't really know about. You have salivary glands. They're called the parotid glands. For those of you old enough to remember the mumps, when your cheeks swell up, it's a virus that causes the parotid gland to swell up. The parotid glands produce a special kind of saliva that assists with the detox process. So I'll actually sometimes give somebody a supplement that helps their parotid glands to work better. And then we want to make sure that the liver is actually able to do its job. The liver's job is, it has a lot of jobs, but one of its most important jobs is detox. And some people's livers don't do it really well. So we want to fix that first. Otherwise, you can become more toxic. And then your kidneys are also detox organs. So we want to make sure your kidneys are degunked. We clean them out. And then the bowels, you have to be able to eliminate through urine and your poop, or else you're going to be repoisoning yourself. So when we start with that, usually we'll get a better result and it's more comfortable. So I do a lot of what I call drainage, just kind of making sure all the drains are open and working. And then I'll do just the way I change people's diets gradually. I'll also do gradient detoxes. So one of the detoxes that we use, I use a lot of supplements from a company called Standard Process. Standard Process is the oldest nutritional supplement company in the United States. It was actually created in 1929, and it's what we call whole food supplements. So the supplements are made out of food, and that's where your body is supposed to get nutrition from. So they have a detox program, and it's a shake with protein and vegetables and some detox herbs in there. And it's designed to be gradual. So you start off with one shake a day, for a couple of days, and then you go to 2, and then you go to 3, and then you ramp it down. So it's just a more gentle approach. And even with that, some people feel not good. And then I'll just slow it down for them and try to avoid having them get cranky or achy or, have an energy crash.
Yes. Well, and I love that you take people through a process, and I love that you've got the health channel with bite-sized information. What are some of the topics that you like to cover on there?
Oh, wow. I mean, I cover everything, everything. I have a video about what we just talked, everything that we just talked about. I have how to prepare your body for a detox, and then how to do a safe detox. I just put a video up about how I healed my own back injury really fast. I have a video on fasting. I interview a lot of people on my show. I bring guests on. I love doing that. So I interviewed a fasting expert. And I'm talking about fasting, not intermittent fasting, but actually not eating for a period of time. And this guy was in the middle of a 30-day fast while I was interviewing him. And he made some excellent points about how your body is actually designed, or biologically designed, to have periods of time where food is not available. And if you're always constantly eating, it screws things up and causes metabolic syndrome, or it can cause metabolic syndrome. I also have a video about raw milk, raw dairy. I have a couple of videos about fertility, about sleep, about stress. I have a lot of videos about stress because that's such a major problem in people. I mean, stress is a normal part of life. Everybody has it. It never goes away, but some people can't handle stress, and then it can cause health problems. So yeah, I think I have close to 80 videos now, and I take requests. So if any of your listeners have a particular topic they want to hear about, I'm happy to talk about any health topic under the sun, anything that people want to know about.
What are some of your favorite ways to handle stress? I mean, that is a big part of some of what's going on.
Yeah. So the first and most important thing to know about stress is that when you are under stress, your body burns more minerals. So when you're under stress, all your body functions are accelerated. Your nervous system is hyperactive. All your organs are more, let's say, working harder. Your heart's beating harder. Your adrenal glands are secreting stress hormones. So in order for all those body functions to work properly, they need minerals. Minerals are like I like to call them the motor that keeps things running. Minerals are needed for your glands to secrete hormones. And so when you're under stress and everything is working harder, your body needs more minerals. So it's burning more minerals. And if you're not taking in enough good quality minerals, you're going to become mineral deficient. And it becomes a vicious cycle, because when you're mineral deficient, it's more difficult to handle stress. And you will have symptoms like depression, anxiety, panic attacks, insomnia, and you become what I call a stress mess. So a lot of people are mineral deficient. Minerals originally come from the soil, and so plants get their nutrients from growing in the soil, and animals get their nutrients from eating stuff that grows in the soil. And then that's how we get it. But at least in the United States, the soils are very depleted of minerals. Commercial farms use artificial fertilizer they're made out of petroleum. So not only does it not have any nutrients in it, but it's actually toxic. The minerals come from, horse poop, horse manure. So organic farms use that, and they use natural fertilizer. So that's why organic food is more nutrient dense. So if you're not eating enough nutrient dense food, I can assure you that you are mineral deficient. And the solution is to feed your body good quality minerals. And most people need to take supplementation because once you're deficient and you're depleted, you can't really correct the deficiency with food alone. You'd have to eat too much. So my favorite stress mineral, it comes from that same company that I just mentioned before, made out of food, and it's called Minchex. I affectionately refer to it as chill checks. So I call it a chill pill. And I take it on a regular basis. Most of my patients are on it. I have all of my employees on it. And we have an open bottle in the office. If anybody's having a bad day, they can just grab some. And it helps to stabilize your nervous system and make everything work better so that when stress happens, which it will, you're able to deal with it instead of freaking out or panicking or getting, having anxiety. The other thing you need to handle stress better is fat. That's another whole important topic because fat has been so vilified as an anti-nutrient, and it's actually something critically important for your health. Your brain is mostly fat. So a lot of people are fat deficient as well. They think fat is bad. They avoid fat. They drink skimmed milk, fat-free products, and they eat the wrong kinds of fat, which makes them sicker instead of healthier. So good quality fat and good quality minerals together really make a big difference for handling stress. And then once you have that physical stability, then you can do things like, let's say, meditate. When you're mineral deficient, you can't sit still and be quiet. But with proper nutrition, it makes it a lot easier to be able to do stress management types of activities like meditation or deep breathing, those kinds of things, quiet activities that help you to calm down.
Yeah, no, great ideas. I mean, I know in our own family, I find it hard to make sure that everyone's getting enough of the right foods. And a lot of times, we do lean on supplementation or making smoothies. Smoothies, I find I can throw a bunch of stuff in there and nobody knows what's in there, but everything they need. So.
Yeah.
Anything else that we forgot to touch on? Any other topics, any other feedback, any other things you want to make sure that we touch on today?
Well, I did just mention earlier, I think I mentioned the word milk. So I just want to give a shout out to dairy, because dairy is something else that's been had a terrible reputation. Many people are allergic to milk or lactose intolerant or think that dairy is bad for you. And I will tell you that pasteurized dairy is bad for you. So when you pasteurize milk, you're heating it to a super high temperature and you denature the protein in the milk, and then it becomes toxic. Same thing happens to grain. When you heat grain to a high heat, the protein in the grain denatures and it becomes toxic. So that is not part of nature. That's a process that's makes it into a processed product, and it's no longer a food. But throughout millennia, tribal cultures, indigenous populations have relied on raw dairy for their the basis of their nutrition, whether that comes from a cow or a camel or an ox or a yak. And raw dairy is so full of nutrients and probiotics, natural probiotics, and it actually has a lot of nutrition in it that people are not getting. One of the things that is in there that most people don't eat is vitamin F. People have never even heard of it. Vitamin F is essential for healthy skin and protects you from sunburn. So if you have enough vitamin F in your body and you sit out in the sun, you won't, sunburn is actually vitamin D collecting in your skin. And vitamin F will take the vitamin D and transport it into your cells where you need it, and it won't stay in your skin. So people are now using toxic sunscreen to avoid skin cancer because they think the sun is dangerous, but it's actually a vitamin F deficiency. So things like raw butter and raw cream have like a really high in vitamin F. And then there's the fat soluble vitamins, vitamin A, D, K, that's present in any kind of animal fat. And many people are deficient in that as well. And by the way, that's critically important for fertility. So I don't know if you have listeners that are trying to get pregnant. I have a great video about that topic, about fertility and fat, eating the right kind of fat and fat soluble vitamins.
Awesome. Thank you. So I will add all of your contact information in the show notes. Just real quick, do you want to share your website here?
Sure. Yeah. The website is drcori.com. My name is spelled Cori, so it's drcori.com. On there, you can download that everyday items you never knew were toxic. And my health channel is on YouTube, and it is my name, Dr. Cori Stern. Take control of your health. And or you can reach out to me with any health questions that you have at questions@drcori.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Cori. So much good information and so much to help so many people. So thank you so much.
Thank you.